Okay, here we go. Philosophy development. Talking about the things that I think need to be talked about. The challenges of being human. Hello, I'm Kraig Smyth, MyBizGuide, business consultant, philosophy development specialist. Welcome to the show. Wait a minute, see Valerie there. Of course the sun's like coming this way, so I can't see, and it's hard to respond to those anyway. But yeah, I thought I'd talk about the snowflake thing, and what sensitivity really is, and go through some of the contemporary things in life that create challenges or are a byproduct of challenges, maybe a byproduct of neglected challenges. Talking about, of course, our whole governmental system and and so-called civilized society. So yeah, let's see here. I'm going to try and turn off there. Okay. That should be good. So, okay, cool. All right. So much division among our species, and I'm going to try and kind of get right into it. But, I think there's a big sector of people that just, frankly, they're not doing their personal development. They're not getting that insight. And that's what I see, right? So when people try to defer their personal development, which is a very natural process, nature doesn't say, oh, okay, you're busy, with homework, or, your job's been stressful, you can kind of defer your personal development and we'll catch back up. Nature doesn't do that. And I think this is a big sticking point with people, is that nature does not translate. We absolutely, unequivocally must do what nature says. So we need to be in tune to nature, right? Okay, hold that. If you look at our contemporary society now and how disconnected it is from nature, and if we understand that a lot of people aren't doing their personal development, you kind of see maybe where this contemporary society is a byproduct of that. And forever, however long ago, probably some people, and I suspect that it's basically the same people that are now calling people snowflakes, are were sensitive people. I mean, technically they're the ones that are sensitive, but we'll get into that a little bit. But people maybe not as spiritually aligned. Maybe people being defensive because they got called out being not doing things right, and start to get off the path of truth. And start to, let's kind of make things easier. But, straightening that natural learning curve isn't at all making things easier. So, if you follow that, I say that, these governmental processes and these monetary processes and this, hiding behind man-made processes, behind clocks and businesses and that kind of thing, as opposed to the big picture and the natural world and our personal development. A lot of these people that are throwing the term snowflakes around at people that are challenging mainstream government and processes, I think it's pretty obvious that those are the real people that are they're sensitive, because they haven't been doing their personal development. They're working in a place from fear. The only thing that they have is these man-made processes, typically in business and earning money. And business and earning money is their only thing. That's their only comfort zone. And they've morphed into that so much that any threat to that, and then they're threatened. And then when someone talks about emotion, or if things get emotional, then they just get mad and blow up. But they obviously don't even have the insight to see, oh gee, I get mad and blow up when I'm being challenged. Maybe I'm sensitive about that. Instead of saying people sensitive using it and they're still using it in the wrong term, because in actuality someone that's sensitive and that is actually sensitive, and if we take a second now and look at that, sensitive that's understanding. We're trying to be sensitive, like sensitivity, just like sensitivity. I don't know if anyone will know this, but like on a analysis equipment, you want that equipment to be sensitive because it gives you more knowledge. And being sensitive is getting more knowledge. So it's so many different levels of wrong. But if you are sensitive, and you know, and that always gets challenged, then you would actually be at the same time less sensitive. And then that makes sense, because that's a balance, that's a cycle. However sensitive you are, you also have the on the other side of your development, is you've gone through some of the processes that make you more adaptable to challenges, to sensitivity, and that's logic. And a lot of people are trying to hide their emotions behind logic. But as we talk about things like that, and this is why we talk about things like that, it doesn't make sense. So really, logical is absolutely being sensitive and increasing your sensitivity. And as a real growing living person, we want to, increase our sensitivity. We still have to think about that. We still have to, analyze ourselves. Oh, am I too sensitive? Especially in terms of having discussions with people. But that's that growth again, and creating room for that growth, which typically, people are going to say, oh, that's just, left wing or whatever, or snowflake talk. Yeah, well, I just talked about that. So, I know where I stand, and I don't think I'm not sensitive at all. I just, when it gets down to it, it's like, I don't give a fuck. The only reason I say the things I say and the things that I do is because that's what nature needs. Nature needs people to deal with people, and that's it. So we need to do our part. I care about the planet, but it's like when it comes to people's feelings, I can not care just as much as anyone. And I think that something in all of us has that, because we know people are hurting the planet too. It's like we got to work with people, but people are also hurting the planet. So when we're helping people, are we hurting the planet, or where do we go from there? So that's a big thing. But people hiding their emotions behind things. I mean, just like, alcohol, drugs, those are the classic ones. But people hide their emotions. They'll hide their emotions, behind a freaking big anthill at this point. Feel free to pass that around too, that big anthill. Yeah. People are just working from such a point of fear. These people, these typically, now we call right wing, left wing, whatever. That's all crap too. Just using those words, I think, is crap, because that's still the same bird. That's still that system that doesn't recognize nature first. This governmental system, let's talk to people, as individuals, and let's have conversations that are more in depth and more defined, instead of lumping everything together. So, taking it back to people, hiding behind business, and deferring their emotions and saying, well, I'm a good guy because, I work hard and I even contribute. I think you can do everything good, like by the book, and this is Disengage from Linear Mindset. You can do everything right by the book and still not be in line by nature. Huge disconnect, right? So, when we're talking to people, and this is where our fellow humans are hiding. They're hiding in this business. They're hiding behind, oh well, I'm a good person. I take care of my family. I donate. I'm even doing it, for the greater good. But if you're doing something for the greater good by following the current governmental system, you're not. You have to put nature first, and nature, and that sensitivity to nature, and that personal development has to come first, has to come before the business. And again, I'm a business consultant. I love business. I love trade. I tell people, business is the distribution channel for change. And if you know about business, that'll make sense. If you don't, let's just say that, business, trade, that's communication, teamwork, leadership, bridging of cultures. There's good things in there, but it's still a tool, and static processes are a tool. And one of the good things, process building is important, and it's efficient, and efficiency is important. When we're building processes, we build the processes so people don't have to think independently about every little thing. All right? So, we got to understand the teaching cyclical. For everything that happens, there's a balance factor, right? So that's good, but also too much of that can be bad, right? And this is, again, disengaging from linear mindset, so we're not just sticking labels on things. Oh, processes are bad. There's no good and bad. It's balance. It's balance. Where are we on the balance factor? Are we too sensitive, or are we not sensitive enough? Is our society so engaged with these processes that they're not thinking for themselves? Or are we using just a little bit of these processes, like, for a job? Let's say we have a candle making process. Well, that's a job, that's a business, that's a skill. That's not our life that's subjugated to processes. That's not a life that's subjugated behind preconceived ideas, or behind written words or written law. Those things might be useful and very handy, but that's not being sensitive in the moment. It's not listening to our natural flow. So I think it's important to talk about these things and touch upon some of these more intricate issues, more in-depth issues of being human, so we can see where people are at and where other people are at, right? So the challenges haven't been, one could say that the challenges haven't been met, the problems haven't been solved because we don't understand them well enough, right? And it's all, within our species, It's like the bluebirds aren't the problem, the bears aren't the problem, the mosquitoes aren't the problem. It's the people. It's all got to be back to the people, and it's not the processes. To pick like one part of the process and say that that's the problem, and it's like that's not the problem. The problem is these oversimplified processes, and people, instead of looking deeper and just having conversations, people want to find that silver bullet. People want to find the silver bullet. They don't have their ducks in a row. People want to find, oh, well, if we just use, if we implement this law, or if we, elect this official, it's not going to fucking do it. There's a big difference between that being a fix and that being a small part of the big picture and realizing that that's a small part of the big picture, and it's like that's, you know, the band-aid, the best we can do. Yes, work with what we have right now, but to be a developed human and a thinking human is not to find quick fixes. It's to understand the challenges and to do the best we can with what we have. And people, again, you know, oh, well, you know, thinking's work, human development's work. You know, yeah, but it's a natural part of the world. I mean, how you'd even get to where that statement would be made. You know, people are so far off from natural life. And I think, you know, that resonates, you know, well with indigenous cultures. But everyone's, you know, affected now. You know, how do you make that to mainstream society? How do you bridge those gaps to mainstream society? You know, and a lot of them are hiding behind intellect, the delusion that they have intellect, and they're saying, well, we're right and we're doing this for the people via this process. But you can't do something for the people if the natural environment's not in line first. I mean, you know, how many times do we have to circle back to make that connection? That, you know, if you want to help the people, yeah, okay, great, you're a people person, lovely. Got to help the earth. The earth has to be first. The earth, the well-being of the natural planet is the biggest common denominator that we can all agree on. And you know, it's not a voluntary agreement. That's just what it is. You know, we can say, oh, after you die, you go to you know, you go to heaven, you go to hell, you go fishing, you go on to the next life, nothing happens, whatever, that's all great. No one knows. We can't agree on that. But we can agree, and science has shown, even, you know, while empirical data in science lags way behind, you know, trying to prove everything, even that process has shown, you know, natural cycles and how everything's connected. So I mostly just want to you know, get these thoughts out because I think it's important. I think it's important to people to have platforms where we can talk, where we can communicate, and just put out our thoughts. And you know, it's like, oh, great, oh, I got this information and I'm good now. It's not about that. You know, it's about, you know, having thoughts and letting them marinate, letting them resonate, meditate on them. But thinking about the problems and thinking about our own internal challenges and thinking about other people's internal challenges. You know, I mean, yeah, we can say, yeah, fuck Trump, he's an idiot. Yeah, okay, that's good on one level, and maybe we need that, and we need to get that out. We need to be clear about that. But on the other level, you know, someone has to have the ability or has to grow into a person that can fix that. And many people have to grow into the people where they don't accept that. And again, you know, I said that, but that's a symptom. You know, I mean, the whole U.S. governmental organization is a symptom. It's a symptom of people not listening to the environment. You know, like the right and wrong. Why do we need laws? You know, I mean, not right and wrong. That's got to be something that's recognized, and you know, when it's recognized, dealt with accordingly. You know, the blame game doesn't work. You know, that doesn't work. We need to get deeper into understanding our species. You know, that's the only thing. But then that's a natural thing, you know, to come full circle. If we understand each other, that's engaging, it's satisfying, it's challenging. It does that. That's why I'm such a big proponent of personal development, because it hits everything. and that's natural. That's being naturally aligned. And if we understand that, if we understand the disconnects in our species, maybe we can start to understand better ways to understand better ways to help. Yeah, I think that the U.S. government. I see. Well, what you said, Kat. Hey, Kat, how's it going? By the way, thanks. You got like tons of good stuff that I listen to. So definitely appreciate the commentary. Yeah, it is, especially if you grow into it. Kat said the government's a big mind fuck. It is, but so let's talk about how do we deal with that. Because we're stuck in it now. It's like everyone woke up, everyone here, grew up with this government. So, how do we, strive for a future with, a different style? I don't even want to use that word. Let's say a different style management system while working in this place. And talking about the left wing, the right wing, and all that, having a system that doesn't recognize nature first and foremost, that's just not going to work. That's again, empirical data science has proved that nature has to be first. Nature has to be the first and foremost thing. So to say, oh well, we're now instead of shell, stones, or printed currency, having a viable place in trade, where that's the most important thing other than the big picture, that just doesn't work. And that's, again, people hiding from their emotions within those confines is a huge problem. And people saying, well, I can just make money, or I can just be, a good businessman, or I can just be this, or I can just be that, without addressing their full humanity. Creating division. These are people that they want control, but they don't even know how to control themselves. And that whole control thing, because they're looking at it from linear mindset. They're looking at it from reading books, or from having a preconceived outcome, right? So when we're natural people and growing, we don't know what the outcome is going to be. We do the best we can along the way. Yes, goals are good. We have goals, but we also have to be able to, we have to adjust along the way. And that's like a contemporary business thing, that you got to be able to be flexible in your business. You might think you're going to be making widgets for this group, but you might end up making something else for another group. So lots of parallels. But and then with the personal development, they want to categorize as using they, which we can't do. It's we're all together. I know we're using these terms, all together, but we need to outgrow the people that are not growing. And those people that aren't growing have stepped into places of power because they're the real snowflakes. They're insecure. They need power. They need to be right. They need to prove themselves right. Classic examples. Classic examples. Big difference between feeling you need to prove yourself right, and someone saying, hey, you're not like right in the big picture. You might have some good ideas, but that's not. No one can be right. No one can hold that. And that's that line from Socrates I used again, is that we can't, to be truly knowledgeable, we have to know that we don't know, and that's the teachings, and we hold that. And so you wouldn't be, if you knew that most basic thing, and that life changes, and that, oh, I thought I was really smart back then, but now I look back and I wasn't, but I was doing the best I could. But no one that holds the teachings of personal development is going to go around and try and say that they're right, or their way is right. So there's that, and that's a big, I think that, we see that in contemporary society, with that linear mindset, trying to gain control, because, I'm just, but it's, they're trying to fill that void, that they're neglecting. They're neglecting their emotions, right? Because now they've been calling people snowflakes, so now they can't, go back and say, oh, actually, I'm a snowflake. I just need to chill and just, be gay or whatever for a little bit. I don't know. But we can see that, we can see people, neglecting their emotions. And we need to recognize that and be, and like grow into people that can handle that. Grow into people that don't get trapped into their adversarial conversation, because they're just not up to par that way, And so I think that articulating clear points in a logical form and connecting it back to nature, natural processes, personal development, right? If we're going to be smarter, we have to do personal development. So people that are saying they're right are also trying to say, I'm smart, I'm intelligent. Well, we just went over that. It's not what Socrates says. And also, if you think you know something, you don't let any new information. So it's not really. And if you're not sensitive, sensitivity is in fact the key to gathering information. So to have, so we can get to that point and have these conversations where we got to tone these people down a little bit. They jumped out and grabbed the reins, and have all these grandiose delusions that they want to press around. And while I think it's the minority. I think most people, if given a chance to sit down and flesh things out, are going to come to a more common ground. But the people that are hurt the most are the ones that are, of course, perpetuating that, because they're, not close to working with themselves. So, yep, exemplified in colonialism. I say linear mindset because, everyone can be affected. And then we can talk about like mental habits, in forms of addiction and that kind of thing. But so thought I'd do a Disengage from Linear Mindset, and put some of these ideas out here and some of these theories, and have conversations, because we're trying to we gotta rise and figure out humanity, and it's not going to be a governmental process. We're not going to buy or legislate our species into the future. That's just not going to happen. So to keep our conversations above those two things is, I think, imperative. So with that, I think I'm going to go do something else. And thanks for watching. Appreciate the conversation. Gold stars if you stuck through that. It's hard, my thing is to rambling. How do you make all the parallels and make all the connections and be thorough and succinct at the same time? So this is kind of like my practice, also doing that. It's a step better than talking to myself, which I also do. So thanks for watching. And everyone, have a great day.